A little bit of a late start this morning, heel toe, but we are here this morning watching for that reaction with GDP. We do see some crazy things from AMD. We're seeing crazy things for some stocks, but right now is where you want to be on guard. You want to be on guard for the next few sessions very critically towards today, especially this morning, and towards, I would say, Friday close, because we are seeing some major moves outside of monthly and weekly expected moves, and those things can close back below those moves even tomorrow. So we'll have to see. But as of right now, we are squeezing. So make sure that you are, if you are trying to call some kind of top, you have a plan for if that goes wrong. And that plan might be going wrong right now because we are continuing to squeeze. We are potentially setting up that 30-minute divergence that we were talking about actually today on Thursday. Kind of surprising for me, if we are able to set this up to curl down the 2-hour. Now, as it stands, the 2-hour chart is trying this morning to violate divergence in some way. Now, it is still holding the divergence across. If you pull this out to a 4-hour, just try to make it as clear as possible. Try to show yourself the risk. If you see the risk here, you're really seeing how the 4-hour has held every divergence point. So if you're able to curl the 4-hour down in the next couple of trading sessions, this is where we can start to see the breakdown of stocks, where we start to stair step our way down into that pullback that we might be done with. If it is more aggressive, then we can end up down into this type of area by the end of July. For the time being, though, we are still continuing the upside. I just want you to be aware of when this thing will roll back down. I think we're getting friggin' close, man. I think we're real close. But volatility not necessarily showing too much here. You do see some forms of divergence, but that thing is squeezing down, right? It's showing how the market's just squeeze. If the daily's able to confirm down here, we could still see that few days of positivity into next week that I was overall talking about. I don't know if that's going to really take place. It really looks like the 2-hour at least wants some kind of move up. And remember, if we really have to, we could make a lower high or a higher low. We could make a divergence for volatility. So if we get a spike in volatility towards the end of June, then we actually head up in July for that week of July 4th. And then we're able to roll back to the upside. We actually could set up that divergence point after the 4th of July. So we could extend all the way into there. I want to give you multiple things to pay attention to. And what you do is you just look for things and then you react. So if volatility starts to do this and take back the 5, you now know, okay, we are going back into a positive trend, right? But if we're able to reject from that 5 and turn down, we could need to make some kind of divergence down here to give us that hint. So just be aware that this can leak out for a while. But I would totally understand people in select stocks as volatility, just so you're aware. So I wanted to watch this morning. This is actually why I technically wasn't live. I just wanted to see. People are hedging the crap out of this move using volatility. People are hedging this move very heavily, I believe, on volatility. This morning, all I did was look at the contracts a month out for July's expiration, and all I did was really watch it, and I said, well, if we're going up and people still see this as good, then we shouldn't see that crazy hedging. But guess what? The options doubled in value today all of a sudden a month out. So some contracts that were 150 per contract are now 300 per contract. So this does tell us something about the market here, that someone out there still sees a bunch of risk. And so volatility might be going down, but people are overall using it to hedge right now on this overall move. So watch out, because I just showed you that 4-hour triple divergence. Like, you have 4-hour triple divergence. If we just see a 30-minute rotate back down here and the 2-hour rotate down, that is enough weakness to start the daily pullback like this week, like Friday, or we could see some kind of down into upward move, right? Down into pullback into down again. We can see a lot of things here, but overall, you just know the risk of getting a daily pullback is pretty heavy here. So just be aware of it. We do see things like AMD. AMD way out there at this point. Great to do this. You know what this does, right? This, getting to here, we're not doing this yet. Maybe AMD, maybe, buddy. But if we wanted to, this is kind of your green zone. This is a good thing if you take it out. This is a bad thing if you lose this. But what does this overall do? Well, it tells us that a few things. One, our MACD is still really, really high up. So we should be aware if we're going to set some kind of trap going into July. Okay, that's going to be one. Two, if we get a daily pullback, we've gone through the top side of this. So it is very likely for that pullback to reach down into the top side of this zone towards 115 to 120, I think it is, and then start to curl back up to the upside. If you really want to hold up better, you consolidate in this area and then you curl to the upside. So AMD is doing some crazy things. It's way outside of its monthly move. It is way outside of its weekly move. And I believe it's so far outside of the moves right now. I believe it's so far out of the moves right now. I'm pretty sure I did second standard deviation. Yeah, you're outside of second standard deviation. So you have a 95% chance to at least close down by like 1 or 2 points here for AMD in the next well, I guess by the end of the month, right? And you only have a few days left. So if you wanted to join Patreon, if you wanted to get those monthly expected moves, like for Meta, where you could have seen, hey, where's the trade? If we go bullish, where are we going to? We're going to the monthly expected move. If you wanted those levels, we are changing those next week. So if you want to join Patreon right now to get those levels next week, it's a great time to join. And I still need to post, I don't know why I sounded Canadian there. I still need to post the still gotta post the what's it called? The quad, the what's it called? The quarterly expected moves, eh? So we're gonna do that for you. We're gonna post those quarterly expected moves. I will try to get those out there just today. I think today is fine to have them out there. Just make sure they're on your charts, and we can do a little video talking about them if you would like. Would you guys like that? Would you guys like a video talking about the Don channel? Would you guys like a little video talking about the quarterly expected moves? See if we can read into them. I still want to be aware how this can continue. AMD is suggesting it can continue. Even the way the SPY is shaping up right now suggests it kind of wants to continue. If it wipes out the 2-hour divergence here, we just keep squeezing. Remember, we are not at the monthly expected move yet. I'm just saying the risk is heightened. I am not confident in any way trying to play the SPY to this. I don't think that that's a very good thing right now. I think if anything, you're looking for another one of these moments again, like, or at least one of these, right? One of these type of moments where you kind of like break down. Oh, then we go back up. And you see if you set that trap like in July for July 4th. But you do have the availability. The monthly expected move is suggesting this is not crazy yet. So if you're going to see something crazy, well, you got to at least get to 618. That's kind of crazy. But Meta, Microsoft, AMD, Nvidia, these type of stocks, all of those stocks are I don't know why I have the hiccups. You guys know me. A lot of those stocks are suggesting we are tapped out. Just so you are clear about that. Very, very nice here for DIA to make a new high. This is kind of incredible for DIA because DIA was at some extreme risk of a lower high for the 2-hour time frame. So as this does scale up, you really want that to break out to use this to go higher, because if you stop here, you make that new high, you stop here, you can come down into that gap before you're able to curl back up into positive territory. So we'll be looking for potential for 2-hour pullback there. 30-minute is crossed down, but this could easily rotate. Watch for that rotation down. But if this wants to, you really want this to keep going. Raise that floor, wipe out the divergence, right? Just raise that floor, use this, and then you might have a nice little swing setup to upward levels for DIA. I don't think that is the correct one if you were wanting a level for that. TLT was super interesting as well, just totally breaking through those divergences. 2-hour just staying steady, but still holding divergence at this point. If we really look at the yields right now, they're kind of bottled up, like they want to see some kind of move, but is that move going to be big? Your signals right now aren't suggesting it will be, but if you randomly see this thing start to pop off and then curl down off that 5 and curl back up, you see that nice little Harry Potter, then the daily scale can still turn up. The daily scale is starting to go negative for the 10-year yield, saying that a lower high may be the most probable thing very, very soon. But it would say I'm close enough to the center that I think you need to be very aware of both and not lean towards either one at this moment. Just kind of pay attention to both. That's how I see markets right now, though. I see them as very, very risky with the ability to be irrational still at this point. This is when I start to look for certain stocks to potentially build a month out or even 2 month out position on. What's AMD? AMD is like risky as hell to start a position right now. Like this is what we wanted. This is what we wanted, right? We always talked about, hey, you want to break through this. That's why it was marked off. Now the most probable thing for AMD, weirdly enough, is actually just 2 hour pullback into here and then a 2 hour move up. That is the most probable thing as of right now. You do see a 2 hour that is dramatically positive. You could see the 2 hour pullback. We can see that curl back up into positive territory. I even think that this is so bullish, you could like lose this zone for a moment and still be perfectly fine to head to the upside. You want to test in these buyers most likely. So if you're going to do something bad, we're talking about like a 2 hour move down like this. That's not that bad. But if the daily rolls and you start to do this, you can end up down in this area. This area right here is going to be very, very important. And so you notice that would take you like all the way into potentially like August. So we'll see what happens with it. So as of right now, breaking the top side of that zone means even if you revisit here, you're coming in from the top side and it's very likely to hold up as support to go higher. But if you start to break down in this zone, maybe you make divergence down there, right? Divergences we still pay attention to. But if you really break down from this zone over time, like cleanly, you can reject again, and maybe we set that floor a little later towards September. So this can leak out to downside for longer than you expect as we've head up higher. I am inclined to believe that this market will remain resilient. I am inclined to believe that this market will show you something scary enough, but not something actually scary. That's how I would put it at this point. Quarterly June 30th options expiry, please. I haven't figured it out, but don't fully understand the significance. It's more the OPEX. It's better to pay attention to the quad witching OPEX. So the OPEX that you really want to watch for the quarterly is still going to be on that third Friday of the month usually. So like the OPEX that we were really paying attention to was actually last week. It was this last Friday. And during that time, you start to get, a little bit of volatility, right? We get volatility leading up into it for about a week, and then we start to figure it out. So what that was the rebalancing of expiration. And now for the quarterly moves, you're probably more likely to see the pullback on the quarterly move or on like a monthly. So we'll see if that's able to take place. This means what we're going to pay attention to is like a monthly one. Quarterly, you just know more money's at risk and you can see funky things and you pay attention to, hey, our market's really high up. So that's why we were paying attention. Hey, our market's really high up before that, before expiration. Hey, guess what? They're high up. Okay, they pull back before and then they go up. Okay, that's all it really is. It's just a bunch of money at risk. And so you're going to see sometimes increased volatility. You're still looking for the exact same things. Your reasons for the trade don't change. Nothing changes. Nothing changes at all. You just know heightened volatility. If I choose to play it, I can see crazy things during that time. Does that kind of clear it up for you, Sue? I don't think like it's as important as it leads on, but knowing about it to say, hey, there's some volatility that can come in throughout that time. What am I seeing? Like that's all that I would really focus on there. I think so too, Dave. I think I'm right there with you. I would love to end up in this circle. I don't know if we do. We've extended the move. Remember when I said, hey, if we extend this move, we could just hold up in here. Well, we extended it higher. So now we have even better chance to hold up in here, which is kind of crazy. But they might talk about it like it's awful. I think if you really want to scare people but not show them something actually bad, you actually would do this. This is actually still okay. And I think that would be crazy to do. But what we'll do is you see these monthly moves. So eventually these are going to shift, right? And let's say the market goes up and say pulls back next week into here and we close at like 605. Let's just say we close at like 605 right here. Well, your monthly expected moves are now going to like shift and be like 640 and then maybe be like, I don't know, like 580 or something like this, right? And then you're going to see what? Probably like one more move up, and then it starts to fall down, and then you break down, and then end of the month, you start to curl up. That's very likely to happen. It happens so often, it's insane. So I'm just paying attention, and then I can look at some kind of reversal signal, try to call something, and then try to take a play using my 5 reasons. I think we'll go I think tapping our head to 610 would make a lot of sense too. So yeah, pretty much what you do, and this is what we did the last time, right? So when we were opening up in June, we were looking for us to break out and go to a monthly expected move, right? We haven't necessarily done that, but we were looking at it for individual stocks as well. And those individual stocks have done it, right? We were looking at Meta to get to monthly move. We were looking for Microsoft to get to monthly move, and it has exceeded that expectation, right? These things are exceeding those expectations. AMD, we kind of expected to try to get to that monthly move, try to get to here, and then if we can get to there, that's a good thing. Wow. But now you're telling me we're not going to do something like this? We can't? I think we definitely can. The big thing is it a quick scare or is it a prolonged scare into like cuts? And does it start right now? That is a question. I think you have a good probability that it starts like today. I think you have a good probability that it starts on Monday, like pulling back on the daily scale. Because I just got to see how this 2 hour lands by end of day as well. We got to see if we're taking out these divergence points. It is multiple point. You have 4 hour divergence. I think the best thing to pay attention to is the 4 hour divergence. Just like the last time, by the way. You remember the last time it got choppy out of top? We said clear it up with the 4 hour. When that confirms down, things are risky. Boom, confirms down, risk is on. So now you're in the same scenario, but you have triple divergence. So this can see a mean reversal. But I just don't want you to be I just want you to know before we get a daily pullback, if it is aggressive, you're going to hear crash. You're going to hear awful things. I want to let you know the most probable thing still is still the daily time frame will cross down. If we curl down a weekly, things get riskier. But if the daily time frame does cross down aggressively, we can see that pretty aggressive move down pretty quickly, and then we actually head in the upward direction. It is still very likely to continue this move. Oof, we'll see, man. I'm like, ooh, ooh, ooh. It looks like a weekly wants to curl down, though, doesn't it? It looks like a weekly isn't very happy here. It really does. It really freaking does. But this is where things can look really bad, but you just want to see how things shape up. If we see 2 hour divergence at some point, right? If this ever is falling and we see 2 hour divergence here, okay, we're going. If we see this falling and we see a 2 hour divergence really close to the center line right here, we're going, right? That's how we want to think about this market from this standpoint forward is, hey, we can continue to go up, but the real opportunity is the daily pullback. I love 4th of July, by the way. I love 4th of July. So I am perfectly fine with staying out of trades that whole week. My dad runs a fireworks stand. We have a Black Cat fireworks stand. I can go out there, take my daughter out there. We can try to sell some fireworks, have some fun, get some fireworks, and put on a show. So I love 4th of July. I will tell you guys over and over and over again, it is my favorite holiday. I absolutely love it. I love getting together with family, grilling out, lighting off some fireworks, and celebrating community. I think it's fantastic. So I'm perfectly fine with just chilling, If we see a topping signal, I might take a little $500 to $1,000 play, but other than that, I'm just like, I'm okay. America, right, Arcane? I'm looking for a weekly reversal candle this week. What's the count on this? Someone got the count on this for me? I'm guessing we're not crazy count-wise yet for this one. This one was here. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, we're on week 9? Ooh. Are we on week 9? I don't know. I don't have my counter up anymore. The indicator I used to count my sequentials was deleted. I got to get a new one. Yeah, we can take a look at Celsius. We haven't looked at that for a while. We haven't looked at Celsius in a long time. Ooh. Okay. Oh, gosh. Do you have monthly moves for this? Because this looks really, really risky. Like it wants the daily pullback now. Let's just look at this. Let's look at it and go, okay, if we were to pull back on the daily, where would we pay attention? As we are making like a multiple point divergence and things like that, let's really focus on an area. Well, all of this was really important, right? All of that was important. What did we do around here that was so important? Well, we ended up breaking through what? This area here. So actually, it's weird, but I, for some reason, am having the inclination, right, that I'm going to pay attention to this area, which is a perfectly fine area to pay attention to. Mark that high, mark that low, and just look at this little zone in here and see if that's a good area for us to daily pull back to. That makes sense. Well, if we really look at this, if we don't want this to break down over time, we wouldn't want to lose this. We wouldn't want to lose this. So if we can, I would love for us to pull back down into this area and then curl up into positive territory. And I think that would be perfectly fine for Celsius. Now, you do have some forms of weakness above you. I don't think it's on the weekly scale, but you do see some like possible multiple point on the daily. I think you've overall wiped that out. I think you've bought yourself a lot of space here that if you just did this, you can start to see this. That's how I see this as of right now. I see continuation. How do we know that that's going to overall break down? Well, weirdly enough, you'd have to lose a lot of these lows to continue to break down over time. So this is how you'd overall head lower. I think you are way more probable just to see this. And you might tap into the bottom of that zone still, but you're coming in from the upside, right? So that's a good thing. You've done a lot of work here for Celsius, and now I think you get your daily pullback. I mean, if you just look at this 2 hour, and if that 2 hour confirms, you are heavily likely, and 30 minutes making a lower high right now. It's like, if all of this starts to lose the 5 right now, this is when you're very probable to see that daily pullback. It can be irrational. It can not move the way that you expect it to move, but eventually it's going to daily pullback. Maybe that's sideways, maybe that's something, but overall it says, hey, I need that pullback. No extreme positivity for the SPY just yet. 0.5 worse than expected. Exactly, Joshua. Notice the market is up right now. But this is why, Mr. Joshua, I was watching, and hopefully your kids are doing good. This is why I was watching volatility calls. I was watching volatility calls this morning, and I go, if we are up and I see a huge amount of hedging, something's fishy here. And that's what I said just right before the market opened. I wanted to watch it and then go live. I watched it, and I watched the contracts go from $150 for this contract I was watching. All of them started to double, like literally 300 for a contract. So that tells me that someone is hedging the crap out of this move, or a lot of people are hedging this move. Are they going to be right? Well, if it's a hedge, they don't really care if it's right. They just want stocks to maybe continue to go up. They take the hedge off for a moment, or they keep the hedge on the whole time. Maybe they buy a month out. I was looking at contracts a month out. So you do have people making moves with their money right now that is suggesting that they see potential scary stuff happening here. And so I think you have that potential here all the way up to 618, but it starts last night. It starts this morning with GDP. And so Mr. Joshua pointing out the fact that there's a negative 0.5 GDP is a good thing, because that screams economic weakness. And people can start to talk about recession due to tariffs, due to Israel, Iran, due to whatever that they want to think. Okay, but we know a daily pullback is probable. We know that stocks are risky because of things like Meta. Over on Patreon, we know Meta, Microsoft, AMD, Nvidia. A lot of stocks are showing they are too aggressive to the upside, and they need that daily pullback. They are running out of steam. It's just, are they going to be irrational for a little bit longer and use all the steam before dropping? Or are we going to drop a little bit earlier on, which would be like today, tomorrow? Today, tomorrow, Monday. Yeah, Matthew, thank you for saying thank you. Yeah, so I actually was looking at volatility contracts in case I wanted to grab a few just for risk to reward, right? I was looking at them. I was like, hey, if they get cheaper today, then maybe I could be the guy that hedges here, like takes a hedge like position. That actually didn't end up happening. It got way more expensive, and I went, nope. And I go, nope, not doing it. But my goodness, AM Dizzle. AM Dizzle on the 30-minute could continue the move. This could continue into Friday. Just so you are aware, the 30-minute could just dip down into here. Then we could see that curl up next week. That's how crazy this is. The 2 hours so high up that next week you could plummet and then curl up into positive territory like a week and a half. Like this could continue the move. Just the monthly expected move is saying, man, these things are a little tapped out. $6.18 is still possible for the SPY, but we are going to need stocks to remain resilient for another week and a half in order to see $6.18. I'm sure what's his name? Frederick. I'm sure Frederick's still looking for that 620 or 6,200. Yeah, we can look at SMH. I don't mind looking at that at all. SMH is going to be in the same boat as the other ones, right? It really wants to come back down to 261.17. I want to say that first off. This 2 hour move is crazy and you don't really have reversal signals. So you want to act like this can continue. You actually do. Now, a lot of these I would pull out to 4 hour charts and just make sure, hey, am I seeing divergence or anything like that? Something worrisome. Okay. So with SMH, you would say the 2 hour can continue the move if you can just base out somewhere around that 5-day moving average and then curl up into positive territory. For the daily scale, though, you have daily triple divergence pretty much here for SMH, which is suggesting that you at least need a tag of something like 261.71. If it wants to get extremely bloody, I don't think this happens. I think 261.17 is fine. But I still want to leave it on the table because this is only 3 days of price action. So what if we just get 3 days that wipes it out and we end up down at 243? 243 would be a very nice level to try to base out and go higher, maybe even by the end of July. So if we start that pullback, and it really depends if we start the pullback earlier. If we start the pullback earlier, then we can figure our stuff out in July and we can curl up into positive territory. If we want to start that pullback later, well, then this could leak out into potentially like August, and then we start to figure our stuff out and turn up into positive territory. If we can't do any of that, then we're going to continue to break down, right? And then that could leak out into like September at that point. So it really depends on a lot of factors. One, you like to pay attention to the timing of things. That's what we're talking about over there. But two, we need to watch for when we just see the signals, right? We can have our estimations, we can have our assumptions or expectations for the market, which is a daily pullback, but that daily pullback could be done anywhere. We don't know that information. We are not psychics. So what we do is we look for critical levels. And what we'll be doing overall is when we get that first leg down, where are we going to be paying attention? The weekly expected move for that week where we see that downward price action. Once we get to that weekly expected move, if we're early on in the week, we might see some kind of bounce to actually fall later on in the week. And that's something that is discussed a lot on this channel. GLD gold looks like interesting things as far as, is it going to take back the 5? Is it just a daily that's confirming down and saying, oh, gold's going way down? Or is gold overall doing good things? Now, if you look at this, I'm going to delete this off. If you look at this from like a 4-hour perspective, what do you notice here that could happen for GLD? Bam, we see that level there. That's very, very interesting. If we wanted to get a 4-hour move to the upside, we still could reject from these levels and roll that move. So we're looking for this to go up and then curl back down and go negative. That actually is the most probable thing at this point. Now, you do have the opportunity to create quick little 4-hour divergences, and that can change the game a little bit. But if you just see a move like this that then fails, you're looking for that structure to actually head down. What you need to do to go higher is see a big 2-hour or 4-hour move. You need to take back this 5 and take back all these levels, then use the 5 to go higher and kind of see something like this the opposite direction. So you are in that area where it's like, are we going to continue the move, or are we starting to roll to go into a downward trend? And that's where you're at with gold right now. GLD, if you look at this, you're going, okay, we're at the perfect area, but we said this about something like AMD. Don't break the low and good things can happen. And guess what? AMD did not break the low and good things ended up happening, right? So now you're in the opposite standpoint, where if you get this 2-hour 2 curl up, it is negative and it is very likely to go up and reject from something like 311.50, and then you can roll that move and head in the downward direction. This is the most probable thing to happen for GLD. How does that go wrong? We see a massive 2-hour move from GLD. It gaps up and goes above this level, takes back that 5, uses it as support to go higher using this left head and right shoulder. So taking out this high can give you a lot of inclination of, hey, what is gold or GLD trying to do? And that's the best I can do for you with gold at this point. Right now, you are leaning for some kind of upward move that does fail or more downside. With the information you have, that's what you got to deal with. Okay, we have an hour and 25 minutes until this bar is complete. We see the PCC, a lot of people still trying to potentially go into the put side as of yesterday, as of this morning. So we're going to look for things to shift back around. But for now, it looks a little bit risky. I think volatility is great if you're going to extend the move, by the way. Make sure you're trading towards Luca is very interesting. Well, so I'm using the 4-hour because here's an important note. The 2-hour can be confusing here, right? Is this divergence? Is it not divergence? Is this divergence right here? Is it not? Is this divergence? Well, we're taking it out. Is this divergence right here? This can be very confusing, right? If I have to ask that question, it's not a good thing. So sometimes you don't see me look at 4-hour charts very often. But sometimes I'll pull up that 4-hour chart just to be like, okay, what's going on here? All right, well, if we open up the time frames, we're still holding every point. So there's still risk here. So let me just watch out. All right, even if you wanted to maybe look on like futures, we could see that this would overall continue, right? Like if you really look at the 4-hour here, you're going continuation. You're saying, okay, we drop, then we pop, then we maybe even experience something bad. Or how crazy would this be? What if in July, we actually pop, we drop, and then we pop again, and we get to a monthly expected move in July. Then we fall around July OpEx or end of the month for July. That is still possible. Treat it like it can continue, right? Because the 4-hour here is not in some dire straits. Now, the daily scale is starting to be that divergence. So I'm still leaning towards pullback. I'm not going to bet on a squeeze. A squeeze is very hard to bet on. So I'm not going to risk money. I'm aware it can happen. But overall, the better thing to do is look for volatility to increase here. Daily divergence across the top. We can extend it for that new all-time high narrative. Could be interesting. You're almost at 6,200 for the SPX. Very, very nice. Palantir starting to get a little risky there, bud. Look at that look. Palantir, daily divergence. This can break through. You know, it can hold up in this area. But if it breaks through, you might be heading a little bit lower. You might even head a lot lower. So we'll see. I think you've risen the floor that this or this makes sense. You see this right in here. So I would say the lowest for that I would see is probably like gap fill towards 110. I think it's like what other stocks? There's let me just see. Let me just like try to find them. So Amazon could break out and see new high. That one could break to the upside. Nvidia's outside of a monthly expected move, AMD way outside of a monthly move, Meta outside, Microsoft outside, Google not out there yet, that could participate. Obviously, AMC and GME are not. We do have SoFi outside of a monthly and a weekly expected move. We have Palantir reaching up, not outside of a monthly move, but big reversal signals there. 110 is a very important level for Palantir. We have AVGO that is up towards that monthly expected move, creating potential reversal signals. So watch for that. JP Morgan is outside of its monthly expected move. So do you see most of the stocks are outside of their move, actually? Like, it's about 60% are outside of their monthly expected move, and about 80%, or I would say 90%, are close to it, and only 2 stocks are kind of far away from it that I just talked about. So that just tells you, or 2 stocks are kind of in the middle. So that tells you most stocks are overdone or over expectation right now going into the last week of the month. Now, take it with a grain of salt. You still have to see your 5 reasons. This doesn't mean, oh, things are just easy. It means look for reversal signals. And if you see them and you want to take a play on it, do all of your regular skills. Nothing changes. You just have a huge inclination that you're going to see a daily pullback very soon. Yeah, we can go look at APLD. I know a lot of people were liking this one. APLD, very nice here for the 2 hour to do this. I want this. I think this would be great. You're getting a daily pullback, aren't you? And you're sitting there going, when is this going to turn around? And how do I tell if it's able to turn around? Well, I would say if you make a 30-minute divergence or a 2 hour divergence here, because we want a daily cross up. So a 2 hour divergence or a 2 hour higher low. Right now, you have beaten this level, but is that an important level for the 2 hour? No, this is the important level, 1176. So and if you really want to talk about it, the actual important level is $13. So if you wanted a hint like, hey, is this going to turn around? Look for that little divergence point. See if that's able to curl up, and that's your best opportunity to see a move to try to take out this level right here, maybe even try to take out this level up here towards $13. But this is a signal that you could see before a daily crosses up into positive territory. And if you can get the daily to really spread out here, you can see a nice move. We'll watch out for divergence. We'll watch out for lower high in some way. But if we can take this out, it looks like you get that little stair stepper to a new high, maybe towards something like $16. Yeah, this is very, very nice. If you need to, you can go all the way into this zone. That would be right now. That would be the 2 hour rolling this move right here. And the 2 hours not going to make divergence. So you're just watching for this. And if you don't see that, then there's no chance of this going back up. Or you have to see up into down to say, yes, that is definitely going back in that upward direction. If not, this is the moment where you can actually fail pretty hard. You can fail this and all of that goes away. So you really want to be reactionary. You don't want to think that's going to happen before it's happening. Let it start happening and then join in on the party. That's how I like to do things. If you wanted to look very, very closely, you could look at this 30-minute chart. You could even look right now and say, hey, if the 30-minute chart curls up right now, it's going to try to go into a positive trend, right? So if this wanted to turn around right now, boom to the upside, use that 5-day as support and then head to the upside again to try to get to something up here. For now, what if you create that 30-minute divergence and the 2 hour divergence at the same time, and that confirms on the 30? Then you can watch the 30, see if management for the trade happens. If that doesn't happen, then you just keep riding that up. You see that pull back and you see that go, and there's your 2 hour move right here to test these levels. Right? It's all reactionary. It's all humbling yourself and being like, I do not know the future. I do not know the future. I know that this has shaped up and my strategy suggests that this is high probability with my time in market. So I'm going to take that because I have my 5 reasons. But I'm still going to pay attention to if it goes wrong because I know that it's not 100% and I don't know the future. Be very honest about it. Very nice. I don't mind that look. I really don't mind this. As far as daily goes, it's just a daily pullback. It's aggressive, but the aggressive move to the upside, just notice if you raise that floor. Where are you raising the floor from? You're actually raising the floor all the way from like 350 to, if you turn around right here to what, 970? Like, that's a very good thing. but you do have the availability to go all the way down to $7 before you figure it out. If you really wanted to, yeah, I just think that's too big of a zone. Yeah, maybe like this. Like you can mark off this high, pull that across, and then you mark off where that, you see all these touches in here, and you see these touches right here, very important, very important, very important. And then you see where are we at now, kind of in that center. So I think this might be the better zone to watch, but it's overall like, hey, if the daily crosses up, it's a swing trade as well, if you want to treat it very simply. But I think with those, swing trading on the daily can be difficult because they're going to be like aggressive and quick moves. Are we going to pump today on the QQQ? You've already started the pumping. You are creating potential 30-minute divergence today to curl over 2-hour charts. Now, the 2-hour chart doesn't have divergence here for the Qs. So you literally could see a drop next week, like for 2-3 sessions, and then you literally could turn back up next week. You could set that lower precedent, right, to get some things back into monthly expected moves. And then on July, like 2nd, you could start to turn up. July 1st, you could start to turn up. If we want to like pull back Friday, pull back Monday, and then we start to curl up on Tuesday, Wednesday, then you can continue the move. What you want to do is break this. You just want to break this. You want to lose that 5-day, right? Staggering down. There's too many drawings now, but that 5-day will be like this. It'll kind of stagger down and kind of look like this, and then you'll reject off it. Like that's how you break down, but look at the move, right? There's not, so this is why 4-hour charts are so good right now, is because 4-hour charts are like, yeah, we're still kind of holding it. We're still kind of holding it. Watch. 4-hour charts show extreme divergence on your MACD. So really, if you're talking about 4-hour chart, it says like, hey, we're going to see a top in the next few sessions. We'd have to see different price action from here. We'd have to see a 2-hour pullback that then can continue. I think to squeeze further than this. You have a very similar view of APLD. Good. Okay, good, Michael. I'm glad to hear that. That's awesome. If we're ever not agreeing on something, guys, point it out. I want to get your input. Okay, so if you ever completely disagree with something I say, oh, perfect. Put it out there. We can respectfully disagree, or I can take a look at it, and maybe you could even change my opinion. Palantir really gave that up. Palantir is going to give it up, and it's going to give it up aggressively soon. I really do think that. Now, you have made somewhat of a pathway higher. The 2-hour chart does have divergence, so Palantir looks like a trade to try to execute, right? I'm trying to talk more about stocks and like executing trades and when that is there. So why is this okay to try to execute? You have 30-minute divergence, like technically here. You also have 2-hour divergence, and you have daily divergence at the same time. So this is what I call in my course, which is down there in the description, by the way. This is what I call the golden setup. These setups are high probability setups that I normally post to Patreon. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do that now. So if you joined us for the live show today, thank you for being here. You're going to get a little something that we normally put out on Patreon. We are going to notify Patreon members about this right now. This is a golden setup. Now, does this mean it's 100%? No, 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 as my daughter would say. But it does mean this could be a good trade to try to execute on, which means if the 30-minute confirms down, then the 2-hour can confirm down, then the daily could confirm down, and I could maybe catch a nice move from like 144 down to like 128, 130, which is a nice 14-point move. That would be fantastic. It might take a week to happen, it might take 2 weeks to happen, but it still could be a great trade setup. Let's do this. PLTR, daily time frame, golden setup. All right, there you go. Yeah, very nice. Thanks for having us look at Palantir. I wanted to post that this morning, so I'm glad that that's shaped up, and I'm glad someone mentioned it to remind my little ADHD booty about it. Why? Because there's a lot more food. Well, maybe I'm blessed. I have a family. My extended family, when we get together for 4th of July, we literally get like somewhere around 200 to 400 people together. So for 4th of July, 200 to 400 people, it's pretty significant. It's pretty fun. Lots of kids running around with sparklers, and we have kids rolling, those little homemade ice cream things. We have kids rolling those back and forth. We don't use the actual spinner. We just have kids like play with them and roll them back and forth. And then you get some nice ice cream, like homemade ice cream, for your chance to sit in your lawn chair and watch some fireworks. It's very, very fun. It is so much fun. Like Thanksgiving, I more treat as like family deal. So yeah, I understand that. The food at Thanksgiving is just insane. I feel bad for my dad. He doesn't like turkey, apparently. And I'm like, damn. So sometimes he brings his own ham and cooks his own ham. Oh, that's so funny. I'm like, dude, just eat some turkey. It's good stuff, man. Nah, he's having ham. Sometimes I think he just likes to make my mom mad. Oh, you made turkey? I don't like turkey. You know? I'm with him. You guys are ham people? Dude, I'm not a ham person. I'm just not. Like, I like ham. We do that for Christmas. We get a nice big ass honey ham for Christmas. Or we do steaks now for Christmas. Go out and grill some steaks in the cold to remind yourself what happiness is, because I hate the cold. Can you look at SoFi? Yeah, well, let's go look at SoFi real quick for you. So SoFi, one thing about this is look at the 30-minute divergence right freaking now. Right now. Does this look like a stock that you want to buy right now on the 30-minute chart? Who in the chat tells me they want to buy this right now? Even if it goes up, does this look like a high consistency setup? Potentially, right? You could say, if I'm trying to catch a squeeze, okay, cool. I could see some kind of crazy thing to the upside. But when you look at this with weekly expected moves on, with, monthly expected moves on, you go, why the hell would I buy this? Literally, that's how simple having weekly and monthly expected moves does this for SoFi. It says, why the hell would I buy that? It's not going to consistently work. And then you go look at a 4-hour chart, and you're probably going to see like potential for divergences and things like that. I think that SoFi is going to get the daily pullback. I think SoFi is doing something great. It's doing something fan-freaking-tastic. If it wants to do this, even better, right? Get above that level. But eventually, SoFi is going to pull back down into 1437, or possibly all the way down into something like $12. That is on the table here. Now, if you think that's not on the table, your last daily pullback was 13.5%. Your next daily pullback, being this, will be 12%. Your next daily pullback from here, being this, would be 24%. Right? These are crazy numbers for SoFi, but SoFi right now, the more probable thing, or the better thing, from my opinion, this is my opinion, right? You can take into consideration how you've traded. So if you're doing well with it, hey, I'm not saying anything against you. I'm saying if you want to take the risk of trading right now with SoFi, that's perfectly fine. If it does this, that's still a good thing, but it's still very likely to do this before curling up. Very likely to do this before curling up. If you squeeze, you squeeze. But if you're starting a position right now, that's a very difficult decision to make as you're outside of a monthly move and a weekly move for SoFi. So SoFi, let me sum it up in one word: risky to take. Like, if you're talking about calls, the word is risky. If you're talking about puts, the word is still risky because you're squeezing. But if you're talking about patience, there's no risk in that. There's zero risk in being patient here, right? Because if you're being patient, then you're not risking money, which means your risk is zero. That is my risk right now. My risk right now is, do I want to try to call some kind of top on like AMD as it breaks out to the upside and most likely pulls down to here? Am I seeing signals for that? My thing is right now, am I going to make a decision with Palantir, because Palantir is showing that divergence up there on multiple time frames that can shoot us down to potentially 30. If you really think about this very critically, this is all divergence. This can curl down a weekly chart. If the weekly chart curls down for Palantir and breaks this low, this can get dramatically ugly. Do I think that that is a high probability? I think we are likely to see a daily chart that curls down and curls back up. I don't think we'll fully confirm this down. If we do, I think it will be brief and we're going to see like a wick off of this 20. You know, maybe we need to put other indicators up there, but or other, you know, trend line, or sorry, moving averages. But either way, I think we're going to see it, right? But if the weekly crosses down on a good confirmation, like just like blood 3 weeks later, like over here, blood, and then you see that low break, oh my goodness, this can get bad. Left head, right shoulder. You can get a huge amount of bait for new highs if this is able to take place. I'm going to delete these lines. We know where to pay attention. So yeah, the daily scale is saying like we could get a weekly pullback. And that's not necessarily a good thing. Now, I'm still just going to treat this like, hey, I'm looking for an aggressive daily pullback, maybe something like this. And then we figure our stuff out towards the end of July. Yeah, especially if we start now. We can extend out the time. Yeah, I'm inclined to watch things like that. Things that are giving me those, oh, I'm a little overdone type of looks now. I'm not inclined to be like, oh yeah, I want to chase some bullish trade. You're inclined for two things, in my opinion. Patience, let the market do what it wants to do. Watch for the daily pullback. Maybe you can make plays in there as volatility is higher. Great. The other thing to pay attention to is like, if I want to try to call a top, I need to be patient waiting for those type of signals, or taking a good option contract pretty far out if I'm trying to risk to reward it. If you're hit that, where your head will pop up. I mean, that would be crazy. I think Palantir is going to daily pull back and curl up. I don't think it'll be that complex. I think there's too many politicians in Palantir for that to, unless it's like directly related to Palantir and politicians. I don't see it being that bad. We haven't looked at SMCI in a minute. Popping off. These things are popping off, right? And you're starting to see those daily divergences and things like that. This is great for SMCI. If it would climb here, raise that floor, you can daily pull back into here. This signal right here is not necessarily the most overbought, so I'm kind of weirded out by this. But if this is some kind of rolling moment, the daily pullback could take you down into 3280. So if we start to experience volatility, watch for that to break down. But as of right now, boom, boom, and then we're not overbought. So if this is right now, this is bullish. Right now, the 2 hour says I want to keep going. Right? You don't have 2 hour divergence or anything like that. You might be making like 4 hour or something, right? Nope, like even 4 hours, like, I'm pretty much fine. So SMCI looks like it wants to continue the move. That's kind of crazy to say. You're always looking for how it fails. Hey, look for that to just confirm below all of this, and you're probably heading down to 3260, 3280, somewhere in there. That's a toughie. That's a tough one. That one's consolidation makes it a lot tougher. All right, we are getting up to test 610. This is what I wanted. I want the test of 610 this morning. Yeah, so I know that was a quick breakdown, Roy B, but you have a serious like back and forth. You have a serious like, hey, is this a daily confirmation to squeeze to the upside? Or is this some kind of fake out that's going to roll with a lot of other things right now? So I think you have to make the best decision you can. I think this as well, when it comes to that, Roy B, be very, very confident in that plan for if it goes wrong, right? And just stick to that. I think a lot of people make the plan for if it goes wrong, then the plan goes wrong, and then they don't actually react. Just react. You can always get right back in. Okay? Just react. You can always get right back in. Oh, God, this curled down. That's one of the riskiest things I've ever seen, but it's going to turn back around for me this time. Why not just be like, wow, this confirmed down. It's really bad. Let me get out. Oh, it confirmed back up. Okay, let me get back in. Oh, there's the nice move. Okay, we're done. If the plan goes wrong, you'd have to take it from the first standpoint for Palantir. So if you're looking for the golden setup, you want to pay attention to the steps. So the steps for a golden setup, if you have taken the course or you haven't taken the course, either way, you're getting some good stuff here. So what you want to do is you say, I have 30, I have 2-hour, and I have daily all at the same time. Well, if this one confirms, right? If this one confirms, then I'd be watching a 15-minute for right now. But if the 15-minute never curls up and then the 2 hour is able to confirm, I'm now watching that 30-minute, right? So now I'm watching a 30-minute if that curls up. And then if that doesn't curl up and the daily confirms, then I'm watching a 2 hour. And by this point, you might already have money. Like, that's the thing. By this point, you might already have money. You might be like, okay, 2 hour like this. Okay, now I'm going to see that come back up. So maybe I want to, take some profit and then add some positions later on if that rolls again. So that's how I like to do it. That means right now, if that 30-minute confirms back down, which it hasn't yet, then I'd be seriously watching my 15-minute chart. Most of the time, that's the case. What I can do right now is go look at the 15-minute chart. The 30-minute hasn't confirmed. We see that. The 15-minute hasn't confirmed. So what you're looking for here from like a management of the trade perspective is just, do we do this down to the 5 and do we curl back up right away? Because if you do this, it's pretty fine, right? You're breaking down. So if this can turn and go negative for a period of time, well, then this is going to be like this. That's not scary anymore. 15-minute move up. You're just ignoring it at that point. You're kind of like, okay, I'll see if you create an uptrend. But now, at that point, if you are way down here, do you think that 2 hour will confirm? Yes, it will. And so at that point, you'll watch your 30-minute. And your 30-minute, even if you are right down into this area, right, might curl up into positive territory. It might be close enough to curl up in there. And you say, okay, that's a little risky. And then you see a rejection. You go, okay, I'm right back in. And then you just hold, then that one says, okay, we're going to play out. You watch for divergence, right? You watch for anything that tells you, hey, my trade could go wrong. And that's something we do talk about in the course as well. I don't know why we randomly brought up the course today, but I like it. That's fine. It is good for you. Like, I genuinely believe, human to human, it is a good thing for you and you can learn something from it. Yeah, Naranto. So watch your 15 like a hawk. And the 30-minute hasn't confirmed yet. So if you're taking it on a 15, that's fine. You still just watch a 15 like a hawk. You can maybe watch like a 10-minute or something too. If you take it early, like on a 15-minute chart, you can look at like a 10-minute just to get a little quicker reaction. I want to be managing a trade at the earlier stages if possible, right? What do I think of IWM? So I am interested in IWM if we start to see squeezing. I think IWM still looks good here, but it does have a lot of sellers right here. A lot of price action people would talk shit about IWM right here. But if we're confirming up this strong, I think it's very likely we go make that new high for the 30-minute. And then you watch out for divergences, right? So for IWM, why would you be heavily wanting to watch out for divergences on the 30-minute? Well, because if I go up to a price point of about 216, I'm doing what? I'm getting that to scale up. And if I see some kind of drop, I can create a divergence right here, right here, right here, right? And I'll be watching that very critically because that can curl over the 2 hour, which if the 2 hour doesn't show that pathway higher, right? Maybe it's lower than that. Then that could be a big deal for the roll to say, hey, I want to break this low and get down to like here, 205. But if we're able to break through, we could be raising that floor for the 2 hour to extend that move next week like we talked about. So overall for IWM, the only interesting thing is what if some small stocks see that squeeze moment? Because I think that is potential in July to see. But I think IWM overall will behave like the SPY and the Qs and get some kind of pullback here. If you look at the daily time frame as well, you have done what? Well, you have a divergence on your MACD. It's not on the RSI. So when we pointed out this divergence on the MACD, it wasn't on the RSI. So we said, watch for it to be able to try to continue and maybe make a new high. Maybe even be able to load up and get to like 224, 223. But as of right now, it's saying resistance. If you prove that to be resistance again in this area, I think you break down over time and you might end up all the way down to like 200. Yeah, 200 would be very, very interesting level to get to. But as long as you're not breaking the entire zone and then coming up to use it as resistance to break again, then you have no risk of going to these lows. IWM has an argument to go down a little bit deeper during a daily pullback just because of, it's not necessarily as bullish or crazy as like the Qs just going vertical, very vertical. So you could see deeper pullbacks for IWM, right? We're pretty much just going to look at a monthly expected move next month. I'm not going to lie to you. Like what we like to do, Tom, or what I like to do, I don't know if other people in the chat do, I hope they do, is if I'm like, hey, a daily pullback's going to come and we're at the end of the month, what am I looking at? Okay, I'm looking at the July monthly downward expected move. Like that's as simple as it gets. The market is so strong. The market is so strong. That is a good thing to shout out in the chat every once in a while. The market can remain irrational, and I think it could remain irrational all the way through 4th of July. I think we could see a 2-hour pullback into a 2-hour up move through 4th of July. So I'm not taking that off the table. I'm just noticing that the risk starts literally this morning, last night. Last night and this morning is when the risk started to just go, okay, now we're going to start looking for that top again. It was Friday. Friday bought the time to GDP. GDP, we have bought time to potentially go higher, but we still have potential reversal signals to pay attention to from things across the board. This guy never got that reaction that I really wanted to see. The 30-minute has continued to break down. This means you are very likely to continue to squeeze, by the way. Now, we most likely will see a random, very random moment of volatility. So the only way that volatility says it's going to absolutely pop off here is kind of black swan-y. I'm not going to lie. It's kind of black swan-like. You don't see a lot of signals for it, but you need a daily pullback. A lot of things are aggressively up. So it's either squeeze. In my mind, I'm going squeeze or set the trap for a top. And right now you're getting the squeeze part. So that's when everyone gets euphoric or tries to bet against it. And right now people were betting against it and they're starting to do what? Well, they were betting against it. Now today, bam, call side. Sorry, that was yesterday. Call side. Here's today. Bam, call side. Sorry about that. 0.75. So now you have the potential calls for it. People were bearish for a minute. Maybe we go bullish for a few days. We'll see. The 2-hour does suggest, hey, we could continue the move with a 2-hour pullback and a 2-hour move to the upside, unless we fade in the next 50 minutes. If this doesn't downturn after July. Hey, that's all right. Go make some easy money, right? We talk about that. It is good to utilize your time when you are being patient for your setup to try to make other money. I don't think that's a bad thing at all, right? If you're being patient, well, you still got hands and arms and a brain. We can go do plenty of things. We did just hit daily expected move very early on in the day. 5%. Let me look at the percentages I'm looking for here for a pullback. Technically, where could we pull back to? That's what we're going to do right now. We're going to go through the 3 areas where you could pull back to and still be very bullish. If you pulled back from 610, if that's the goal, you could technically just pull back to here. You could literally go sideways and down for like 2 weeks and just pull back 2.31% and go up. I'm not leaning towards that. I'm more so leaning towards the one I have to lean towards is this one now. This one would be a point of, about 580. So there's your 5%. So this is the most likely thing to happen. is a 5% move to the downside. The more dramatic trap scare, if they really want to scare you, is this zone down here. We would do that by like maybe July, maybe August expiration, somewhere around here. But that would be an 8% pullback. You're going to get an 8. So here's how you think about it. I want you to think about the market right now. All right. So this overall move, like overall, bottom to top, is 27% up. And I'm telling you that you have the potential, and I think worst case potential, to see an 8% pullback. You've gone up 27%, you give back 8. And people will say that this is the absolute crash around this time. Quote me right now. If this were to take place, when or if, let's say if, because I think that you're more probable to try to hold up in here, and I think you'll still hear the same narrative. But if you end up down here, I guarantee you are going to see people calling for the absolute rug pull crash. And we will be aware of how that happens. If we go deeper than this, we have to be aware of how that happens. But as of right now, that would just be a pullback. I know that's crazy. I know. But look at these moments where you go up and then you go down and then you go up and then you go down. It happens. I think you are very likely to try to stop. Actually, if you want the exact level, it's technically not 580, but I think 580 might get tested. It's technically right here around 585. So 585 is what I'm really watching. I think that would be a nice daily pullback. But I still think continuation is possible to, like, obviously monthly expected move. Can we do that tomorrow, please? I hope so. You have to fade. In my mind, if you want the signals to get this right, you have to fade the move like in the next 40 minutes, 50 minutes, like genuinely. That's how I see it. Or else I see us kind of getting a 2-hour pullback that can continue into 4th of July. Like we pull back, maybe we pull back into some monthly moves for June, and then we actually see upside into July that sets the trap. It is very possible. That's how much we've extended it. We called it out last week that you extended it to GDP. Then we called it out this week. You extended it to potentially Friday. Now we're calling out, hey, you've extended this to potentially go all the way into, if you get a 2-hour pullback and go higher, you can see irrational, crazy things to the upside. But volatility still might increase during that time for after July 4th. Yeah, IWM had the lower high possibility there. Remember that 2-hour was a little deep, but you're doing the things you need to do. Remember that 30-minute. The 30-minute goes like this, then it touches off of this, then it goes higher, right? We hope that this would go a little bit higher, but if the 30-minute rolls right now, right, you see that reject and make new low, that's where you start to go, oh, we're going to go down into here. Oh, we lose this, we go up in here. Oh, we go down into here. Oh, we get a 2-hour reaction up. That 2-hour reaction up ends up failing. We go down into here. See how we can make our way down into July? We'll see. I would like this to fade like now. I would like news and a fade now if we're going to top today. That's how I'd like it. Yeah, I think that's overall how I see it. It's like fade right now. I don't think I'm going to bet on that because it's just a fade right now. It's a, hey, if we're going to see the 30-minute come back down, now would be a good time if we're going to set a top. But I'm not going to sit there and bet on that. I might take like, a hedge play, a hedge size play for like VIX. but the contracts got too expensive this morning. Yeah, the 2 hour is still saying like, hey, I've violated things. You need this to fade like soon. If the signals are gonna get it right. Volatility is suggesting we can just keep squeezing, so IWM so far not too happy. Ooh, it did break that low for a moment, didn't you, IWM? Did you break this low? IWM did break a low at some point. So it might reject from the high for IWM. So IWM, I just noticed here. I have it different on my charts. For the 2 hour scale. 2 hour scale, I have this as the significant low. Actually, no. Sorry, I have a different zone. I have an earlier zone to pay attention to. It's all the way up here. So you can see this zone now. And you go, okay, if we lose that, it starts to look a little risky, right? We can go down into these type of levels. That's what that overall suggests. So as this has gone up, oh, wait a second. We peaked our head below here. So when you peak your head below, you just want to see what are we going to reject from on the 2 hour scale? Well, we're probably going to reject before the previous high if we're not going to go higher. Probably include all of this and go, okay, that right there. Now we have peaked our head above, so we'll be watching. But overall, this says ping pong, wait for a break higher, wait for a break lower. And now you've gotten the break up, reject, and go lower. So IWM, I don't think it's like in a terrible spot. I don't think it's in a great spot. I think you're just watching this 30-minute pretty critically. There's the fade. Come on now. If we're going to top today, fade that move right now. Get some news going. How's AMD doing? I was looking at this, man. I don't know. I feel like with how this week has performed, what they would want to do in a Friday seems interesting. Have fun, kids. DMV, I'm going to cry. Oh, sorry, Joshua. We'll try to make some money for you. Have a good one, though, Mr. Joshua. Thank you for joining. Always a blessing to have you here, buddy. Open group, how long have you been waiting for this pullback, be honest? I was kind of hoping this thing would have already been pulling back. Not AMD, sorry. I meant like SPY. I was kind of hoping this was the moment where we just do it and we come down to here. But now we've risen the floor, so now it's like, oh, okay, something down into here. Like if you okay, so here's the structure. You guys want to see the structure? Why it's the most probable? If we peak our head and make new high here, or not really, if we peak our head and make a new high here and we go up to here, you're kind of setting up some good stuff to potentially see like this. Do you see this? You see that? You see this? You see this? Like, that's the structure. That's why this area is so probable now. Especially if we make a new high, like new all-time high. So if we don't make new all-time high, then we have to still be paying close attention to here, like a little bit more. Very nice. Not fading it yet. That's most probable in July. I think so. I think July bottom side monthly expected move. Yeah, you're going to see people tapped out, and then you're going to see something that causes a lot of people to just take risk off, and that's not a necessarily good thing. Q's made a new high, right? Yeah. Q's made a new high. So what's the structure? Ooh, Q's could go down a little deeper, right? You see this down in here? So all the way down there, you probably want to mark that off just a little bit. Availability to go into this. But as they're at the monthly expected move, this could curl down and then curl up, and you'd see how we'd use this liquidity to head higher. And that's it. Look how far away we are from the center line still. Still very far away, like farther than a lot of like other points. You're still farther away than other points that you've been up higher on the first push. My tongue is snapping. So I think that this is very probable for the Qs. Doesn't have to happen that quickly. right? It can take like 2 months for that to happen if you really want to. Like, right, this took a while. This took a whole, what? That right there took a month. So that, it'd take a little over a month for that. I think it'll be simpler than we think right now. Quarterly, I already have calculated SPS, so I will be putting those out on Patreon. I can put those out today. I just need to make them look pretty. Let me try to make them look pretty for you so they're not confusing you at all. Because if I just send you the calculations, you're going to get a shit ton of numbers and be confused. So I'm going to make sure they look pretty for you, but I'll get those out there. Those are already calculated. The monthly expected moves will change next week. So I will have those calculated for you next week with the proper levels to pay attention to for July. I don't know if you're going to make it to the upside move in July though, man. If you don't get any kind of pullback here, like it's just like I don't think so. Possible. It's you always want to say it's possible, but damn. Right now I can't see it, is how you put it. I can't see it with my skills. I can't see it right now. Unless we pull back aggressively on like a 2-hour and we extend, and then we extend that move and not make a divergence. Like that's how it would have to happen. You're going to hear me shout pullback a bunch, guys, just because this is where you can build up for another week and a half and it's still like, hey, you know, if you're trading the shorter time frames, okay, but if you're trying to have a good summer and maybe go on vacation, it's like, well, during the daily pullback might be that time as well. It's like, oh, we're down. Oh, we're up with 4th of July. We're all good. Oh, we're down again into the end of the month. And I'm judging that off of like the moves that we're seeing outside of these monthlies. Like this one looks bad right now. Like Meta looks like a trade you could potentially execute on, and saying the 2-hour is going to rotate down, and the 2-hour does have that divergence. If you want to clear it up, if it's a little confusing, you can probably look at 4-hour, just see that triple divergence on Meta. Like Meta looks like it wants to daily pullback, and it looks like it wants to be a little bit more aggressive. It looks like it wants to lose this, right? So where's it going to head to? Well, it's probably going to head down to this line. We can pull that across and just leave it there. Right, we're just going to leave it there. We're going to say Meta's going to get down to something around, what is it, 663 to all the way down to 623 in July. That's my assessment at this point. If not July, we beat it up for a little bit longer. Okay, August. The longer you take to pull back, the more pain that will be. You know why that is? Because once everyone gets convinced not to short it, that's when it drops. And that's hard to find that timing because you don't, I don't even know that exact moment. And then you look at something like AMD though. But you look at something like AMD or even like Nvidia, probably Nvidia too. And you see how good that 2-hour move is. So what do you think happens here? Well, we go like this, and then we go like this, then we go up into July, and then we kind of set some kind of trap. Right? Then we actually daily pullback. But now, where does Nvidia want to get to? Well, if it's going to remain up here, it doesn't have. It can get to like here. It can get to right here. I still think 133 now is the level. I think we've kind of erased that off, unless we go through something really bad, like say it takes more than July. Then I think we could end up down at those lower levels. I don't think you'll see. I mean, unless it's like Black Swan wipeout into downside and ups, and then you go like this. But I don't see that right now. I see just like a gradual thing like this that just curls up towards July expiration. AMD, the reason that you're watching this is like, okay, do this, then curl up. But the 2-hour looks like it could continue. So this is how you continue in July. You just 2-hour pullback and then 2-hour go to the upside. That's it. So you now know that the move can continue. It can top here. It could continue here. But if it continues into the brink, then you're looking for after July 4th. If you're going to do the absolute toppiest of tops, then you're looking just after July 4th, like a week after. If you set a top in July instead of setting a top now, you are going to be in for some pain in August, yes. Sold my Nvidia shares, dude. Let me make you feel good about that for a second. Let me just show you what you just did, Fire. Okay, Fire. I'm gonna toot your horn for a second. Look at that. Look at the trade you just sold on. Ooh. You were in an unexpected move, an extremely unexpected move that actually went above the monthly expected move by how much? 3.55%? Kudos, Fire. I'm gonna make you feel good about that. Great. It's overextended. Make you feel good about that for a sec. What if Nvidia blows off the top? Oh, it's already blown off the top. Nvidia's already blown off this top. Like, just go to a daily chart and kind of look at this move and draw. Or even a 2-hour chart recently. And just be like, all right, we've really seen a ramp up, pulls back. Ramps up, pulls back. Ramps up, dramatic pullback? That would be the risky business. End of July top is like we go down into September expiration and we actually could see 115 again. I don't want to go up that high. I don't want to go up higher than this. I really don't. If you want my assessment on Nvidia, I don't want it to go higher, but I know it can. Because we're not seeing the fading today. Not yet. Exactly. That Nvidia trade is crazy. Well, so I can do this for you real quick. Okay, so this is why you're paying attention to the daily pullback that's quick in July. Okay, so as far as like say seasonality goes, the reason that you're paying attention is because there's like a window in July where you do see potential like pullbacks that then give you like this kind of ramp up kind of moment into the, like potentially the end of July. So I'm saying if we can figure our stuff out here, we could like start to ramp up in July, right? Then we do those small pullbacks to continue the move throughout. Now, I think the market wants to leak out all the way into 2026 to set an actual major top. But so what you're overall looking at here is you have like a window, say like a window in June where you can pull back. And now's that window. You're actually in it right now. You're in the last week. So that means we can pull back, see upside, pull back in July. Then we can start to turn around, and that's where you start that move to the upside. But you can also see the July kind of just the crazy bull run seasonality July, which is like you do those 2-hour things, you do those 2-hour things, you do those 2-hour things until you get to a like top side of 620, and then you start to roll. Like you can do this. There's tons of opportunity. So us thinking about stocks and talking about stocks today might be completely different than us talking about stocks a week from now. Because there's so many different things that can happen here. It's so difficult to be like, yes, this is the exact top. You're just trying to call top. It's difficult to do. So something you can do is go on vacation, let everyone else try to call top, be wrong, and then come back and be like, oh, we have the daily pullback. That's cool. But yeah, seasonality-wise, July can be strong, like a July ramp-up type of moment. But you have that window of a sell-off at the late stages of June, and maybe early stages of July, or like first couple weeks, and then you ramp up in the end of the month. We'll see if that's able to take place. Like I said, if we just 2-hour pullback here, we go up in the early stages of July. If we just do this, and then we go like this, we go up in July. At least the early stages. And then we watch out for reversal signals from there. We're playing the same game we always play. We just know that risk is starting to get heightened, and we're looking for a top in the next, you would say, from now until after, like a week after July 4th. I think you're very likely to see some kind of top. I would say if it's after July 4th, I think it's going to be roughly like a couple trading sessions after July 4th. But we have to see how it shapes up. That could all change by next week. It changed this week, right? So we've changed. It's perfectly fine for us to change. There's nothing wrong with us changing. We're traders. We flip back and forth. Sorry, that was me drinking my gross coffee. Let me reload my coffee so I can hang out with you guys for 30 more minutes. Does that sound good? Let me reload this coffee, all right? We are reloaded and ready to go. Yeah, this just looks so bullish, though. It's so hard to be like, oh, yeah, we're going to top now. We need to fade this move in the next 30 minutes. Like, we need to see something bloody here. If not, I think you just get you potentially could see, what is it, trap over the weekend, 2-hour pullback next week. So we will see, my friends. We will see. I guess. It looks so crazy bullish that like even talking about a top is just crazy, which is why we have monthly expected moves. We know that the SPY can continue, but Meta, AMD, these ones are really saying like, hey man, we're very, very, very close. Start to be a little bit more aware of the risk of downside. We can continue, but now's where you say thank you for the long plays. Appreciate it. Now we're going to daily pullback. So if you missed out on all of this, the very easy plays, if you missed out on this one, or I guess it was from here to here, if you missed out on that one, this leg, you're potentially going to see another one of those soon, right? Where you see something like this. And then this will be the trade. This part, everyone wants to play that part. I'm saying that's going to be the difficult trade. Make sure you're seasoned, you understand you're managing risk, and you have the plan for if it goes wrong. Because we could still hold up better. We could hold sideways through July 4th if we really wanted to. We could go to 620 before July 4th if we really wanted to, or right after July 4th, I think. So this is not the easier time. This is not the easy play. I'm saying this one will be the easy play. And you can probably catch something from like here to here. What is that? Like 20 points or something? 25 points? Not bad, my friend. Not bad. Go back into effect. The Trump pause goes back into effect. Is it August 1st? I don't fully remember. The 90-day pause. Oh, this is great. Thank you for pointing this out. Remember how we said the move can extend past July 4th a little bit with how we're seeing it, and we're not fading right now? Think of this. July 9th is when the 90-day pause on the country-specific reciprocal tariffs above 10% baseline, that is when that expires, is July 9th. So weirdly enough, July 9th will be a critical time to pay attention. So that means for us, what if we do get that 2 squeeze higher? What if we do see something crazy on Friday? Either way, that means for us, we're actually watching for a 2-hour pullback that can confirm back up. And you see how that brings us into Monday, July 7th? Ooh, July 8th, July 9th. Ooh, that could be bad. Or we see this go down, then we go back up, then we reach to that July 9th again and we reject off. So you see how there's like bearish way down, bullish trap way down. Very possible. Wow. Okay. For the day, though, we know that the daily expected move has been tagged, so now you have that 68% chance to see this as resistance, is how I like to say it. Chug some of this coffee, and then I'll get back to the chat, all right? Yeah, that can be drama. Just look for something they can use as an excuse, and they love to use Trump as the excuse. So if you see something very obviously where Trump can be the excuse, you pay attention. And you say, they want Trump to be the full reason too, don't they? Political wise, Trump wants to be the whole reason. So weirdly enough, seeing that information about July 9th, it kind of leans me towards this. Not that fast though, not 30-minute. No, this would be like 2-hour. You go down into Tuesday, figure it out on Wednesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Oh no. We could tag the bottom side weekly expected move next week and the upside weekly expected move the next week after that. And then we set that top. And they use the July 9th tariff pauses expiring. Don't risk that much money, Bernie. God dang. Don't risk a kidney on stuff. Come on now, you don't want to ruin a weekend. I feel like selling your kidney would not be a fun weekend. Apple. Apple, I think, rejects here and turns down. What do I think happens here for Apple? I think a 2-hour pulls back now, looking at the information. It is positive, so you're looking for what? Right? And when it goes negative, we talk about lower highs. But when it goes positive, we need to talk about higher lows. So even if this 2-hour does rotate and curl down to here, if it doesn't make new low, we can't really see the structure to head down. So what we need to happen here for Apple is the 2-hour can curl down with all those 30-minute divergences. Thank you. Peaked your head above. Okay, where does it want to go to? Well, I think that what you might see here is like up to here, cross up on, say, like Friday. Friday, we see this go up, and then we start to see that roll, and then we see it come down, and then that 2-hour pullback can tell us, like, hey, have we figured this out yet? Do we need some time down here? Right, to create that double bottom going into Tuesday. So I think Apple will see a 2-hour pullback, that 2-hour reverses on Tuesday. The way that I'm reading into this now, I think that seems very probable with how we're extending the move right now, that this is just going to be a pullback. I don't trust this signal right now. Doesn't mean I can't like spend the like next week maybe building a position in this area, right? AMD pop off son. Go look at AMD as well. Actually, I'll look over here so I'm not bugging you guys. Put you on a 30. Yeah, because AMD is the most bullish thing, I would say. And AMD is suggesting 2-hour pullback. Like 2-hour pullback to 133. 10 points. Ooh. Are you another crash caller? Crash. We're not crashing. We're going to go up potentially into 2026. We're not crashing. I think we're going to crash potentially in 2026. We've extended the floor, right? We've extended it. Oh, I'll shout it out if I see it, Sue. Right now, it looks like you're trying to extend. So I think you see more upside, weirdly enough. That's my inclination now. So I think you could see like up into down, maybe even like up, down, some of this, boom, boom on Friday. Then I think we tear down on the 2-hour. Then I think we figure it out. And then I think we set that trap on the 9th. Look at that. I'm going to draw this somewhere. I'm going to draw this up on SPX. Let's do 4-hour chart for SPX. 4-hour charts are the scary ones, though. Actually, 2-hour charts still. So how this would continue, it can fail by crossing over that 4 hours. So just watch the 4-hour chart for risk. This means we potentially see some down. I think that would go into like Tuesday. Then we go up into Wednesday. Then we tear down. Something like this. I might leave that there for now. Now, I don't know if we go down right now. I still think this has the availability to go up tomorrow, like on Friday, like this. Then you start to see volatility increase here like that. And this means that you get 2-hour pullback into 2-hour move to the upside into a trap at the potentially the weekly expected move or weekly expected move downside into a weekly expected move upside. So there could be one more 2-hour swing trade left. Now, if this takes place, then this is going to be different. So how do we just end up in that zone? Like down into here, by the way, because down here is still marked off for SPX, but really you could just go down into like 5,800, right? Which is kind of the top bottom of this. Oh yeah, look at my drawing, by the way, for SPX. Look at this. So this is what I thought would happen. I'm still leaving it there. See if it's right. See which one I'm right on. This is just 2-hour scale. So 4-hour crosses down though. Then you would see like down now. Like you would see down maybe after Friday, but you would say down. We break this. We curl up. We break it again. Potentially all the way into that Wednesday, that OPEX for Vixpiration. Then we start to head in that upward direction. But I like this one better right now. So I'm going to leave that there. Yeah, it would kind of be a little bit Black Swan. Like it actually would be Monday, like a Black Monday thing. Like what if we actually see Black Monday signals though? That's going to be my opinion, Sue. That is my opinion right there. So what I see as most probable now is you're going to get a daily pullback. What we're discussing is the in-between. Hey, what do we do for the next week and a half? Because we could build up a top in that week and a half. Hey, praise the Lord. I'm down with that. Blessings to you and all your family. Okay, Bernie? Yeah, so we're just looking at how this could continue. You have a 30-minute divergence, but the 2-hour has gone too high up. So if you're going to experience extreme volatility, you might see something Black Swan-like or convinced it is Black Swan-like. And the 4-hour confirms down. If the 2-hour just pulls back, 2-hour pulls back. You can't tell me like SPX, you look at a 2-hour and you go, oh yeah, this is bad. You just wiped out everything in here. You wiped out everything in here, And the only thing that's holding you is like here, that's kind of giving you like a maybe. But you look at this, you're above there on the MACD, so you're very likely to continue. So I think that this is the most probable thing leading into the 9th of July. Nobody's talking about it here. I think you'll see Black Monday, and then I think it'll be if you want my true assessment here, where's one of those Mondays? There's one of those Mondays where we just like came down. It might be like this too, Friday down, then we go up, but where's that Monday like where people were really scared? Where the hell is it? Is it right here? There was a Monday where people were very, very frightened by the market. Oh, I can't find it. Oh, I'm on a 2-hour scale. I need a daily scale. Is it here? No, that was the Friday. No. So I think you could see like this for Monday, Tuesday. Just Monday, Tuesday. Then on Wednesday, pop. Then on the next Wednesday, right, a week later, drop. Then you start to pull back into here or into here. That's literally my assessment with the market right now. Both of my assessments lean towards what? Us ending up testing something at least like 585 for the SPY. If it holds up better, it holds up better. I will react. Right now, squeezing seems like the potential. If we can get a pullback, I would say squeezing is still potential. If we curl down the 4-hour, we're paying attention to risk. So I think your Monday could look like kind of like a drop, right? Kind of like a 30-minute drop. So you might do this, drop, Monday. Then you actually curl that up throughout the day. Then you drop it again. Then on Tuesday at end of day, we curl up. I think that's what you see, and it's kind of like this. That's what I'll be watching for. If we get more aggressive than that, then obviously we'll be watching for something a little different. Pullbacks aren't shallow. This pullback was not shallow. The actual 2-hour pullbacks are not shallow. Hi, this is a 2-hour pullback. I mean, you could consider that shallow based on what we saw before, but that's 3%. This one was more shallow, but very good structurally. 2.2%. Like, those are good pullbacks. And all I'm saying is, like, this happens. That's all I'm asking for right now. That's my pullback I'm saying. Then we go up. Boom. Maybe a little deeper into this. Yeah, maybe. Drawing ideas, it's fun. See, that's too fast. You need it to extend for a while, like really be sideways. Then you go up. And then you go up into that potential, the 9th. Wham into down. This is that Wednesday. This is where Wednesday starts. Like right here. I think that looks very interesting. But like I said, 4 hours here. So if the 4-hour confirms down, pay attention. Because if the 4-hour confirms down, you might be doing the other thing. Yeah, there's like 2 ways that I choose to look at the market right now. Continue or fall. Continue or fall. Keep it simple. 2 things. Continue. How would it continue? How would it fall? 4-hour would be how it falls. 2-hour is how it continues. So whichever one confirms up or down first, I will lean towards. That's kind of how I see it. Circumcision mark. Oh my goodness. Yeah, well, Palantir has not confirmed anything here. Palantir has not confirmed anything. 15-minute hasn't even confirmed. Now's where you could see like a little 5-minute lower high though. But if this is some kind of I want to go higher, yeah, you're not making like that decision. You have no confirmations here yet. Yeah, so you're looking for the 5-minute move that maybe rolls up and fails. Then you could say, okay, I'm going to take that, just make that decision early. And then you would just watch your 30-minute and stuff like that. But make sure it's confirming. But that's all taking it early. If you take it early, you take on more risk, right? Plenty of people in my chat have come in and say, I took it early, I ran into problems. Yeah, you're more likely to run into problems if you take it early. So just be aware. Hey, you can get a curl up here, see if it fades. Palantir still has room to go to a monthly expected move and is still squeezing at this moment. Yeah, you're seeing these weird pullbacks from this area, and I think you should pay attention to it. It has a golden setup, but the golden setup has not confirmed one piece of that golden setup yet. No 2-hour, no 30-minute. All right, go up. Keep being irrational, man. Like, honestly, get this 2-hour extended so then we can see it pull back. And then we can say, okay, thank you. And then we take maybe, like, say, calls into, into what's it called? Into July 9th. That'd be interesting. What would Meta shape up to then? It's extending the move then, right? So Meta shapes up to the same thing. Maybe we do get to that 736. Holy sh! So that means pull it back, right? Pull it back, confirm back up. July 9th. Then we see if we can get a good move up to these areas. Pull it back. You don't have to get back into this by the end of the month, but it is possible. Then you just curl that bad boy back up, and then we start to see down. Unless we just keep extending, 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 because the 30-minute, it keeps doing what? Extending, extending, extending. Still holding that first point. Maybe. Just see what the market gives you, you know? That's like part of the game is just being like, what's the market going to give me today? Oh, God. Is Netflix doing Netflix things again? Gah. 30-minute divergence, 2-hour very likely to continue as well. You thought Netflix, this one was bad? Now that 2 hours getting going again. You have daily divergence formed here. Like, do you see we're really like the last little bits for the next week or so is possible before Netflix goes down to like 1134. So it's just, do we continue it for another week or do we fall now? Do we continue it Friday or do we fall on Friday? Do we continue it next Tuesday to set the trap for July 9th? That's kind of what we're going to go back and forth with, probably on this channel a lot. So we will have a Saturday update for you on the macro scale this week, just so you are aware. If you would like to subscribe this morning, that would be fantastic. If you'd like to leave a like on the channel, that would be fantastic. And if you wanted some material, we do have weekly and monthly expected moves, and those monthly expected moves will be updated next week. So if you want those levels, join the Patreon down in the description. You back on this afternoon or no? I'm not this afternoon, but maybe tomorrow afternoon. I think tomorrow afternoon I might be back on there. Depends how it sets up. Yeah, my afternoons have been taken up. So you know the thing with wifey, Richard, and she has I think it's called like HGV or something like that. So it's been really, really rough around here. I think it's called that, something like that. Yeah, it's been like horrible. So I've been trying to go live later in the day. I just really I haven't been able to. So even tomorrow is not like guaranteed. It's kind of thrown in the air. It's 50-50. It is. She's had to go to the hospital a few times because of it, so it's been pretty rough. But we did, hey, we did, Richard. We did get the AC unit fixed. We were able to do that. I didn't have to do anything either. We just called up my buddy, threw him $100. That's the benefit of knowing people. You always try to keep things cheap these days, you know? Oh, I didn't have AC problems. I'm sorry about that. My mother-in-law did. We got her into a nice little house when she moved here from Georgia. And it's just a little tiny little house, but we knew we'd run into little problems here and there with just AC unit wasn't the thing, and then that happened. But hey, man, you tell me some problem happens with your AC and you only have to pay $100 to fix it. Whew. That's why you have friends. That's why you make friends with plumbers and electricians and stuff. You got beers with them and stuff, and you refer all of your friends to them because then they're real nice to you. All the ones that I know are like my brother's age too, like my younger brother. They're all like 3 years younger than me. Super nice guys, super hardworking guys. Like my hat goes off to those people. Those guys are making good money, real money, hard working money. It's awesome. Yeah, it was about $100. Thankfully, we didn't have to pay anything for a hospital. That stuff always worries me. One time, so when I dislocated my shoulder, I paid $850 for them to pretty much rip my arm apart and leave me in a hospital with my dislocated shoulder for 3 hours. So I paid them $850 for, I think it was for the ambulance, if I'm not mistaken. I did just now that I dislocate my shoulder like once a year, I'm just like, I don't know why I even got an ambulance back then. It hurt much more back then. Obviously, when you first get it out, it hurts a lot more. Oh, golly gee. Hey, Joshua, thank you so much for the $50 over on PayPal. I just wanted to shout you out, buddy. Thank you guys so much for using the PayPal link. That's awesome. I really do appreciate that. And then Richard's like, I'm paying for that AC unit for my mom. I will tell her, Richard, I will legitimately not take any credit for helping her out, find her someone. I will genuinely be like, hey, someone from my channel wanted to give this to you. I'll go give it to her right now. I'll go give her $100. Because if she was gonna replace it, I was gonna buy the whole unit. So I really do appreciate it, and I'll tell her good vibes from you, okay? I think it's good to tell people like and show them like, hey, even random people on the internet, there's nice people out in the world. So I'm gonna tell her it's from you, okay, buddy? She will be so excited. My mother-in-law is fantastic. She never had a son, so she treats me like a son. She makes me my own specific food when I come over, like literally specifically for me. Yeah, we do, Richard. That's facts. That's why I show up every single day. Like really, like in a sentence, if you had to think of it that way, that's why I show up here every single day. That's why I make YouTube videos at night. That's the real reason. It's just like, hey, if I show up here for you guys, you're gonna show up for me the same way. We're all trying to figure out what's going on here and make money. And I think that's perfectly fine. And if we can talk about risk and things like that, it's just even better. So, but she literally makes me my own food every time I go over there. She literally takes care of my daughter when we're feeling awful. She helps out anytime she has a day off. It's like she doesn't have a day off. That woman is just so excited to hang out with our daughter. It is such a blessing to have her. Um, yeah, if you have someone like that in your life, man, don't let go of them. They are hard to come across. Like someone at that level of just like I want to help. And every single like every month she just buys me a new t-shirt, like high quality, very nice t-shirt, and she knows I like my little margarita and beach vibe t-shirt. So um yeah, I just wanted to talk about it out loud to show some appreciation to the mother-in-laws out there who take us in like you're their own son. It's awesome. What do I think about Nike? So I will let her know, Richard, and I'll report back to you. I'll go tell her today if I can. Maybe I'll go visit her at work. Nike, very, very good thing to do here. Very good. Very good. To take back the 5 and be trying to go higher. The problem with Nike right now is divergence. So if you see 30-minute divergence, this starts to rotate. Your 2 hour is very likely to make a new low here. And if you look at this, even if it would continue a little bit, you're on left, head. If this is a right shoulder, you could break all the way down to 56. Now, what you want to watch for here is if you're not going to see this, but instead you just see a 2 hour pullback into here, and then you see that start to rotate up. Maybe you have a little 30-minute divergence right here. Well, you'd look for that divergence on the 2 hour as well. And that can tell you that the daily scale is going to turn up. Now, I have a hard time believing that this is going to turn up on the daily scale, but you are in the ping pong area. So overall, what are we looking for to at least know, hey, which direction, which way is this trend trying to go? Well, if we lose this entire zone, then it's trying to go down. If we take back this entire zone, it's trying to go up. So if the daily can confirm up here and I get that 2-hour divergence, the daily confirms up, you can see a nice move to potentially 65.76. I'm not the biggest shouter-outer of Nike. I don't like their products personally. That's me personally. And we've talked about basketball shoes. I think they obviously make great basketball shoes. I'm not saying anything like that. The casual wear, I don't like them. And I'm one of those weird guys that I just don't invest in companies that I don't use their products. I genuinely don't, for the most part. As far as it stands with this sentiment in markets right now and how markets are shaping up, I don't really do that. I don't like to buy stocks that I don't really like their products. But you're not me, and that's perfectly fine. So all you're watching for is right now we're probably ping-ponging. You see that? You see how we're ping-ponging? And then you're going to break one of these levels eventually. Then you're going to pull back into them and curl up. So right now you're saying, we broke through all of this. We're trying to use it as support to go higher. If the daily confirms up, we can get to 65.76. We can get to 68.92, and we can even break that and potentially go into gap fill towards $72. If we can do that, I'm looking for the next moment like this, to curl up again. But right now, I think you're inclined to be like, okay, if the 30-minute rotates down here, the most important thing for right now is 30-minute divergence. If that confirms, then the 2-hour rotates down. And you do have some things that are saying, hey, this could be a sizable move, right? A pretty sizable move to the downside. Saying we can go down to these type of levels. Is that a bad thing? No, it's really not. It's really not that bad. You're positive. You could see this as like ABC, boom, boom, boom. You figure your stuff out. You curl up into positive territory and you go. So I think the 30-minute divergence is what you're watching right now. You're watching 30-minute. You're saying, I see the divergences forming. If that confirms, then the 2-hour can go test the low or go make a new one. We do have earnings on, earnings play on Thursday. So that's kind of rough. Kind of rough time for that one. Here we go. We're going to confirm this today. We going to start to pull back or what? We going to see that 4-hour cross down? We going to make that top today? What are we going to do? Bad news and the price goes up. Oh, I didn't see that. Yeah, earnings is going to cause that thing to do wild stuff. I'm not even going to try to look at that for earnings. If you want my statement on earnings is always as such. I believe they are overall 50-50 flips. I think you can read into them and try to make plays, but I like to, if I'm going to play earnings, treat it like a fun play, use a small amount of money, and see if you can make some on it, because it's very difficult with theta and IV, how it is during earnings, to potentially make money. But I think we did get a bad GDP. That's why I'm still watching that 4-hour chart, you know, Caleb? Still watching it, but we have extended the 2-hour enough that we could see one more leg higher. I know that's crazy. We could see pullback into Tuesday of next week. We could see upside into the 8th or 9th of the week after that. We could literally do this. Let's see if I can do this without moving too much. So bottom side weekly move goes to like here, or maybe even higher up. Maybe it's just like thin like this and like this. And then what we could do is we could go down to that bottom side move by, say, like Tuesday, Wednesday. Wednesday, we start to curl up. We can come up. We can hit the next week's weekly expected move on Wednesday of the next week after 4th of July. Then we can start to roll that move. That's how long we could extend this out in my mind. That's the longest I see us extending this out, if you want my honest opinion. The only other way we extend it out is if you see that options funkiness and you see one more move into that expiration towards Vixpiration, then we start to fall as well. You can literally do all of this and keep trend like this. You see that? So that's how long you can extend this move. That is a genuine thing. And right now you have done what? You have violated the divergence point that is extended across for the 2 hours, suggesting that you can continue the move for one more push, at least. And then we'll see how it shapes up. Right? Because all this is, hey, let's look for weakness. Let's look for a 2 hour pullback. Okay, let's look for reversal signals down here then. Let's look for reversal signals up here then. Okay, and it's as simple as that. If you don't see the reversal signals, it might not play out. I got to fix my weekly expected moves real quick. I don't have them right next to me there. Ah, did I hit enter? Come on. 70. Is that right? 607, 75, 80, 86. Yep. Okay. So, and this would make total sense going into Monday, right? If this would pull down, bounce up, pull down, divergence, maybe even on Tuesday, we go up, we go down, we go up, we go down, we go up. Oh, Wednesday hits. Like, look at this. That'd be crazy. Now, I want this to happen, so I want these bigger moves so I know volatility is kind of increasing. Just at least we're seeing some bigger swings, but because we keep doing this, bam, right? We do consolidation. We see some volatility. We see some volatility, then we just grind. I know we get some hiccups, but we do grind. Now we do what? Oh, some volatility, grind. What I want to see is volatility pick up while we're doing this. Right? I want to see volatility pick up into July 9th if we're going to extend the move as high as we can. Notice AMD starting to just tip just a little bit. Remember that AMD still doesn't even have 30-minute divergence. It is in a risky spot, and I think a 2-hour pullback is justifiable here. If you look at the 30-minute scale, you can start to see probably little inclinations of divergence and things like that, but I don't think you have it to say like, oh, this is an obvious setup to do this. But I think that this would be a very good thing for AMD going into Wednesday and Tuesday. And then you set that trap. This means that you could go down towards a monthly expected move, but technically not the monthly expected move. If you are going down to the monthly expected move by next week, then you could see this. If you see that, you are very likely to bounce and set up the lower high and just get to this zone. And then we'll see what happens. Are we going to kind of stair-stepper this thing down into a divergence by, say, mid-July? That's where the monthly expected moves will really help us out. Sorry, random tangents left and right, but I just wanted to keep talking about AMD a little bit there. Without the monthly expected move, I would not even be thinking about pullback. That's what it's for, man. It's to when things are uncertain, it's to give you a feeling of some kind of certainty and at least staying in control, right? Staying in control. A lot of control just has to deal with what? Trying to not be confused by something. The market has these times where they can be confusing, irrational, and all you need is some kind of guideline, and that's what I like to say the monthly expected move can be. It can tell you when stocks start to get a little riskier. Yes, they can squeeze. I can leave runners. Semis aren't necessarily showing the perfect top. You have seen the extended move from NVIDIA that says the 30-minute could pull back and go up. You're seeing the 2-hour move that says, hey, the 2-hour can go down and go back up. So you're not really there. AMD is suggesting the same thing. And then as you go down to something like AVGO, yeah, this has a little bit different look, but overall, it's up. This is where 4-hour charts are still your friend for AMD, or I'm sorry, for AVGO. But this is where you can kind of see that quick little down, into, up, into, down, right? You see that, it starts to change a little bit. I believe on the daily scale, you are starting to make those inclinations, right? So I pretty much all I think that's happening here is you're going to see some price action in here. You're going to end up here. You're going to see this MACD curled up, and you're going to see it curl back down. That's it. That's the assessment. And then we're going to end up back down towards 230. We're going to go like this, 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 into this, this. And you might not even get this. You might not even get that. It'll really depend. Now, this could leak out into August. We want to treat it like it still can break the zone, right? This can come down to like all the way down to 190 if it wants to. I don't see that right now, but you do have major reversal signals. Weirdly enough, these are major reversal signals. These curl down weekly charts. So if you wanted to fully break down over a longer period of time, right, you could take your time with it and go like this, go like this, go like this all the way into like August expiration if you wanted to. And that would be like a weekly pullback. I believe the weekly chart looks okay for AVGO. Am I wrong? Yeah, weekly chart looks okay. You have divergence here too. So I don't think you want a weekly pullback, actually. I don't think you want this to leak out into August or September because that's going to start to dabble with crossing down. I think you want to see like 2, maybe 3 weeks of selling, and then it just starts to wick up. I don't want that to cross down for AVGO. That looks too risky. See if it fails. You know, it always can fail, but I am not too keen to be bullish yet on AVGO, like to the point where I would take a trade. It's very bullish. Like nothing is curled down. It's very bullish. GME, we haven't even looked at GME today, but GME still needs the daily to cross up. GME still needs a 2-hour higher. I still think this needs a 2-hour higher low or divergence. I still, to this day, like am like looking for this. And then we go boom, 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 boom. You can kind of see it. Left head, right shoulder. And then the other way to go higher is just go higher, right? Raise that floor, use the 5, and then over here I can talk more certain about GME, but it is trying to hold up better. AMC has the 2-hour that's actually like, hey, I'm really trying to test that low and come back. So this is actually a very good thing for AMC. And it did show that way higher on the 30 minutes. So right now you might be getting a 30-minute pull back that just curls up into positive territory. I can read into all of that just by looking at a 2-hour chart. And then we click over to the 30. You'll see a pullback on the 30-minute happening. We'll see that go down. We're seeing it curl up and try to go positive. This is how this tries to reverse around initially. But what you need to see from this is this to be able to extend and get back out of this zone to then use it as support to head higher. Left head, right shoulder. That's what you're going to need for AMC to go up. Or just curl up a daily scale and go nuts. Right? Curl up a daily scale and go nuts. Go to frickin' go above 550. Go above 550, right? If you go above 550, you start to open a lot of doors. A lot of doors to try to build back and get to here. Where did this reject from, by the way? Oh, it actually went above this level back then. That's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy we didn't hold that in any way. If I'm being honest, I think that AMC wants to get to here. If it would see a mega squeeze, this is where I'm looking. I'm seeing if it can take me past that, if it mega squeezes. Yeah, I'll talk about that stuff. I think it's fun. So yeah, daily crosses up. You could start that kind of behavior, but you need to see a lot of good things from AMC to be able to go up, or else Richard's going to short it and it's going to go down. Right, Rich? Whoa, Richard. Out to lunch. Oh, okay. See you, Richard. Shit, I didn't see. Oh, well. Hey, big shout out to Richard, guys, in there. Helping out those around him. That's always awesome. And, you know, he only shows that because human to human, we appreciate each other, and that's awesome. The reason that I like AMC still is left head, right shoulder. If I'm really taking it into consideration, I should have this marked off. I should have this marked off, but this is the zone we broke through to really go higher, so that's why I like this one still. If I extend it, it's just going to be the bottom side of the zone. It's still bullish, a little bit of bearish tilt as well, so we'll see. What's VIX 9-day shaping up to? See, do you see all the daily divergence? Like, do you see how we could see an abrupt pullback? Like, if we started to turn up, boom, boom, boom. If we started to turn up, boom, boom, boom. If we started to turn up with volatility, boom, boom, right? So we're watching this very carefully. We don't see the inclination that this can just turn around all of a sudden, though. We really don't. You really don't. It would be kind of black swan like. I'm just being genuine there. I think you have done the things to continue unless you run into something that is expectedly unexpected. I say that because money knows before we do. Month and quarter. I think you will see some kind of reaction from the 10-year. I don't think the data right now suggests that you're going to see that 10-year pop. It's kind of funny, but you do see the inclination that the 2-hour is saying like, hey, the 4-hour is going to get a cross up here. The 4-hour is very likely to reject, just so you are aware. It is likely to see an upward move that then fails. So we'll be watching it. For now, though, you actually can extend this out and just, well, you could look at this and just say, okay, you know, if we broke through all of this right here, or even this right here, we could be in that positive trend to curl up and start that off. And then the daily time frame catches up. Daily's starting to go negative, so we're looking for a lower high potential, but it can just start that positive trend again. You have not lost anything that is really important here for the 10-year yield. Yeah, very, very nice look. Maybe you see Iran-Israel tension and tariffs pauses off, and tariff pauses going off causes the 10-year yield to go up as inflation is expected to come in, but then the Fed is forced to cut in, say, September. That could be a very, very intriguing, interesting, but also might be difficult to actually see what happens there. We'll pay attention. We'll keep an eye on it, okay? Well, it's technically broken daily. It's above 610. What the futures end up getting to here? Yeah, a little divergence there as well. Did IWM start to roll? Oh, IWM. IWM's like, if it rolls, it's got to do this and curl up. That's going to be a shaky time for IWM. Ooh. The good part is it's very simple. We're waiting for pullbacks. We're seeing if the 4-hour crosses down. I don't even know if we need a YouTube video tonight, but we will have those daily expected moves for every stock that we cover on the right side of your screen. We will have your daily Friday expected moves posted to Patreon later tonight, either way. We might price it in, CT, if they hint in any way of cuts in September, or if the bond market prices in cuts for September. Yeah, we could be like a buy the rumor, sell the fact, and get a pullback from that. But I don't see that being some kind of rug pull moment. As far as like crash, like new lows of 2025 goes. Yeah, that's the thing too. It's like, what if we daily pull back before the 9th? Like, what if we see something super aggressive from right now to the 9th? Where is the 9th? That would literally be like right here. Right there. Does that mean we just go like boom, boom? Or you see like wham, wham? That would be too much, I think. I think you're more likely to make a top for July 9th. I want to see if they talk positively about it before or negatively. Yeah, I still see the possibility MK for 8250. There's literally still the possibility of 8250 or a test of the low for TLT before August or September. So before September, you can test there at any time. You look at JD, something that isn't the same. Yeah, JD. I don't mind this. I do not mind this at all. Now with this look, let's do it backwards here. Let's go daily scale. Okay, I knew it. Okay, cool. So daily scale here has confirmed up, or might confirm up today. Let's put it that way. You have major divergences on this on the daily scale. On the 2-hour scale, you kind of look at this and you go, oh, we do have that extended divergence across. We never saw any blips here, so maybe I could consider that. But I'm also going to be aware of what? A 2-hour lower, 2-hour higher low, or a 2-hour divergence now. So something really nice for this might be to fake this out, get that 2-hour to pull down, then actually curl it up. And then we can see if that daily starts to turn around and this thing starts going for JD.com. I don't even know what this is. But you do have daily divergence, 2-hour potential divergence. You might need to make that in the near term. 30-minute, you didn't necessarily have good divergences, but you've done a lot of work here. And so the reason I'm talking about 2-hour pullback is just in case this is kind of fading as we get to the center of this area. So if you're really marking off, I need to take back this, and this is something that held as support back in there. So we can mark that off. We can find a little zone for us and say, okay, we've gotten to that center point. So do you see how rejection from here is possible? So just be aware with your 2-hour. But if we can do good things, if we can 2-hour pull back, maybe we even see something bad and you think it's ugly, but then we actually curl back up because we're so positive, potentially on this 2-hour. Going positive here, we're able to do this and set that higher low to break through this zone. That would be a very, very good thing. And then we can see upside into a pullback, and then we head up even further. And that's where the daily momentum can start to take over, and you might not even revisit the zone. So what is the thing stopping the daily from going up? It is this guy and this guy and this guy. So you need to take all of those out. And then after that, you can go test something in here towards $43. So you might be in an extended period of time where you try to get there. And this is where you try to execute trades throughout, right? And then as you get there, you start to take money off of the table. It could take a long time for this to happen. A long time. But as far as investment goes, not bad. The last time you had daily divergence, look what happened. Bam. The last time you had daily negative divergence, look what happened. Bam. The last time you had divergence was right here. Bam. Failed. Turned down. Divergence. Bam. Failed. Turned down. Divergence. Wham. Let's go. Take out all of this, and you're starting to dabble up in here, and then you can really raise that floor, and then the risk starts to get higher towards 43 as of this look right now. So risk gets higher, risk for a pullback up here, risk for a top up here, and then you just have to do all your work in the shorter time frames to see if any of that's going to happen. Very, very nice. All right, guys, I was able to extend for a pretty... Oh, is that a different one? My bad. I was like, that one looks interesting, but I don't think I would look at that one. I have no idea what that one is. So for today, I said I was going to go 30 minutes. We went an extra 50 minutes. That's perfectly fine. Thank you guys so much for joining today. I do have to hop off. I'm going to go help out. I'm going to go talk to my mother-in-law and tell her about Richard. Thank you so much, Richard, for that. And thank you for anyone that decided to donate today. I really do appreciate it. And thank you for using the link that is down in the description when you do so. That is just awesome. So thank you so much for that. Thank you to Richard, and thank you so much to Joshua for giving some donations back to the stream today. I really do appreciate it. I hope you guys have a great day. We know that the risk is going to be heightened from right now, I would say, into July 9th or the Friday after July 9th. That is how you have to view markets. You always want to be looking for when the money is going to move. And a lot of the time that can be with expirations. So we're going to be watching that expiration very critically, but we're going to watch today. We're going to watch tomorrow. We're going to watch next week. We're going to watch all the way up into July 9th for, are we seeing those topping signals? As of this moment, the 2-hour has extended high enough that it can need to make new ones. We could keep extending even on Friday, come back late next week, and then end up seeing a turn up into that July 9th, even into that Friday if we really wanted to do so. And so throughout this time, it's going to be very important to look out for 2-hour lower highs or 2-hour divergence. Thank you guys again for joining today. Appreciate you guys. Trade like water. Pay attention to your risk. I know I'm not risking anything just yet, but I'll get in the game soon, right? I'm starting to get an itchy finger over here, so I'll get into the game soon. But I just appreciate you guys, and I hope you have a great day, all right? We'll think about a YouTube video tonight, but really it's pretty simple. 2-hour pullback. If the 4-hour confirms down, that's where things get risky. This is your risky signal in the market as of right now. You are holding every single divergence point for the 4-hour chart. As of right now, the signals that you have with volatility and across the board, you would say, yes, a lot of things are outside of their monthly, but they all look like they want to continue, or at least most of them do. So you would sit there and say, okay, if we're going to go through something bad right now, then it would be something a little bit unexpected, some kind of maybe black swan like event. This is very likely to continue potentially even into July 9th if we don't experience one of those moments in the next couple of trading sessions. So thank you guys. Have a fantastic day. And I hope you guys overall are having a good time and are set up and ready to make some money this week and have a great weekend this weekend. All right. See you guys later. Peace out. I will tell them, Sue. Thank you guys for shouting out the fam. I'll tell them you guys say hi. Peace out, guys. Have a great one.